Hello. Okay, we are live.
So I have a big ugly can of worms that I want to discuss.
Regarding what?
WCS.
Okay, we'll get there in a minute. First things first, I want to do some. There's some bug fix stuff that's floating around for 0.6 that we should probably go over because we should probably get a bug fix out for 0.6 pretty soon.
I agree.
Okay, well, I've done two things today, but the big thing is the WCS fixes for 0.6. Is that related to what you wanted to talk about, Steve?
No.
No, you have a separate WCS thing you want to talk about. Okay, good, good. We'll get there in a minute then. Because I just love talking about WCS. It's just
Oh
so
yeah.
much fun. Okay. Um, so Jack, your pull request is the attempt to fix it, right?
Yeah, I moved all that stuff into the WCS property of map, as you suggested.
Oh right, okay, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, well, that should be that should have happened. It should be
Which
on the
which
PR.
which PR are we talking about? 1546.
1546. Okay, that's one way of doing it. I mean, if that works, that's fine. Wouldn't have been the way I would have done it. Oh, I suppose no. It does run through all of the. It does run through all of the verification stuff. I think that's good. That's cool.
This is okay. Well, this is kind of related to what I was going to talk about, actually.
I thought it might be.
Kind of. Um, yeah. What we do is weird, I have to say. We're doing a lot of weird things, but this kind of breaks things in a similar way. Shouldn't you be checking for, Jack? What if it's capital?
No, it's AstroPy WCS will. Was it? Well, yeah, actually, yeah, that's a good point. Would AstroPy WCS not sanitize it? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's an easy fix.
Yeah.
What's in the MDI file that this bug originally rose from? And that's all in capitals in these.
Did Jack turn into a robot for just me?
Yeah, Jack turned into a robot.
Okay, it was not just me.
Oh, Stephen's turned into a statue by the looks of it. I think they're mucking around with our Wi-Fi here.
What? Hmm.
Yeah, Jack, you need to like deal with capitalization issues because it doesn't sanitize it.
Oh, it doesn't?
No.
That's funny. That worked. Okay.
Maybe it matches on both. I don't know. No, well, I don't know. Yeah, it doesn't seem to work for me anyway. Unless in the coordinate system property we're doing things with case. Maybe we're sanitizing it further up.
I mean, I guess my question, which is related to my discussion, is why aren't we sanitizing this issue on the on the C type to begin with?
Because we try and keep the metadata, well, I don't know. So, to some extent, we keep the metadata the same, and to some
extent,
really
we don't. That's right.
It seems. Well, my argument with this is that this is specifically working around a bug in AstroPy, or not a bug so much as a incompleteness for our purpose in AstroPy, in that it just doesn't support that particular description of the coordinate system because it's not standard compliant to the way that AstroPy is being coded. So that's why
it's not standard compliant in general, right? It's Solar X.
Yeah, true. That was basically my argument in this pull request thread, was that it should go in there because, well, I suppose that is not necessarily particularly transparent.
Well, I can understand it from the point of view of keeping the Solar X property on the in the map header, right? That Solar X stays there.
Why?
What?
Why?
Because that's the way.
I would suggest we just sanitize everything. Just like, can you guys hear me? I'm hearing.
Yep.
Yeah. I would say we just sanitize everything. Just like, I mean, AstroPy kind of tries to do this when you read in a FITS file anyway.
We kind of do it with rotation as well.
Yeah. So if you read in an EIT file and the FITS header is garbage because it's not up to modern standards, well, it'll be easier for us to just keep our code up to modern standards and then sanitize on the way in, so that we don't have to. We can have a separate sanitization layer, and then we don't have to worry about having code all over the place like this, where we're trying to fix things.
Stephen, if you have a look at the original version of this fix, then the sanitization, so to speak, was at the down at the MDI level, at the source level. Mm-hmm. Is that where you would want it? The MDI source, you can fix various things there. Okay, well, that was the original.
No, this is definitely something that should be in. This is definitely something that should be in generic map. This is not just specific to those instruments.
Sure.
This is support for a old standard way of doing it. There are probably a lot of places that we don't know about that uses this convention.
Yeah.
Well, so where do you want it then? Should it be in this the WA and where it is right now, or should there be a whole other sanitization layer that it goes through?
The other logical place to put it, I suppose, would be in the property, but it's not gonna change. The only place where we actually change the header on load is for rotation, I think. And that is because rotation is a mess from a WCS perspective. There are 3 separate conventions of ways to do it, and they are not mathematically compatible with one another. Okay, so before we get onto a more philosophical discussion about this, what are people's opinions on this as a fix for 0.6? My argument for a 0.6 patch on this is that it doesn't actually change our public API, because it doesn't change what coordinate type returns. It still just returns the header, but it just makes AstroPy WCS that we're now using to do the coordinate transformations do the right thing. So to my mind, for 0.6 at least, this is a bug in the new coordinate transformation infrastructure, rather than in our general way of handling things.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm fine with it being here.
We don't actually change the rotation header on read in either. We only do it after rotate. Yeah, there is nowhere do we change in map. Do we change the header upon read?
Well,
It's kind of a philosophical decision, right? Of you don't change the header, but the way the object should operate the way it was intended to.
Right, but when we move to a meta object, then we'll have to have that discussion more clearly, because we don't.
That is one of many questions that we'll need answering when we start to come up with that.
Right. I mean, the meta object won't be holding things as a dictionary with the original keys. It'll be holding things differently, and there'll be some export utility, that will pop it out in maybe a fits header or some other standards. And that fits header, I don't think a fits header needs to be standard.
Yeah, I agree.
Right. It should not hold the old garbage. So I'm pretty sure we're going to move to that eventually. But,
but I don't think that there's... Well, bearing in mind that we don't do any other sanitization of a fits header apart from, to make us read it, basically. My opinion, I think that for 0.6 this is the correct patch, unless anyone has any arguments against that. I take your deathly silence as, yes, Stuart, you are right.
So just the case... Well, I knew I was right all along, but just the cases needs to be fixed, and then that's that?
Yeah, just stick dot lower on the end, I guess.
Right. Okay.
Right, that's that done. And then, Jack, once you've done it, can you open it onto the 0.6 branch as well?
Okay, and right.
What needs fixing? Should be.
Okay.
So that leads us on to small fix of the map.plot document example for the documentation. David. So why is this not being merged already?
Yeah.
The fact that the documentation build is broken because of HelioViewer angers me irrationally.
Might want to try that again, actually, because we got helioviewer.org up and running again on Friday afternoon.
So, can you explain how...
Oh, it does seem to be working again now.
Okay. Well, I don't understand how that broke our documentation.
Because it's the plot. We've got a plot directive in there that downloads data off HelioViewer and plots it.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm also very much +1 on this. That is going in. Be gone. More 0.6 related fixes. Okay, I fixed the whole need to install AstroPy first bug in 1551. For it had angered me.
And we wouldn't like you angry.
I didn't understand what it was doing there.
Doing where?
Hey, David.
I don't understand what it was changing.
So this changes it so that if SunPy cannot be imported, if SunPy cannot be imported, SunPy can still be installed. This may sound contradictory. but we actually import SunPy, or we were importing SunPy when we were installing it. We were like importing it from the local source as opposed to the installed version of SunPy, which meant that if SunPy's dependencies or a small subset thereof were not satisfied, you couldn't do the import from the source, and you could not you could not generate the egg info thing that pip does to work out what dependencies. So pip couldn't read what SunPy's dependencies were because it couldn't install SunPy because the dependencies weren't installed. Basically, what this does is just makes it work by putting this try except statement around this SunPy import.
Thank you.
I understood. It makes it work.
It makes it work. I tested it. I built the whole SciPy stack. Actually, was that finished? I did that somewhere. What was I doing that earlier? I built the whole SciPy stack to test it. This worked earlier.
Okay, so it's mergeable then.
Yeah, it's good. It's good to go.
Has anybody but you tested it?
And you remove 6 because we are not using it?
Remove what? Oh, that was because I was importing it from AstroPy, which meant you have to have AstroPy installed to import it. Circular again.
Yeah, has anybody tested it besides you?
Nope.
I doubt it. But
How do I
like,
test it?
like Travis has tested that it builds on normal circumstances. So it's not like we're going backwards ever here.
Oh, that's true.
But
But it still would be nice to see whether...
well, if someone wants to test this, what you need to do is create a contra environment with just Python installed and then run Python setup.py install from a clone of this branch.
Yeah.
And
where's Albert? Albert!
In fact, if you want to test that it works without having to build all of the SciPy stack, you can just run Python setup.py egg_info, which tests the metadata bit that pip does at the start. So if that works, then it works. I was going to add that to the Travis build to make sure that we never have this problem again, but that required too much faffing around with Travis for my afternoon. So I might do that another day, next time I'm fighting with Travis. I haven't had a joust with Travis in a while. Oh, yeah.
So Albert can't speak, apparently.
So
Okay,
you say
well,
create a new content environment and then with just Python and then do pip
Python
install.
setup.py. No, it can't do that.
No.
I mean, you could do pip install dot, but that's the same.
No, sorry. Yeah, Python setup.py. Okay.
Yeah, do Python setup.py install, and if it starts building NumPy, then it actually works. This does actually, yeah. Well,
what does this change to RTD build paths? RTD paths?
So that is a very simple patch that just makes So this is so the way that the read the docs thing is set up is that the home directory is not configured properly inside the Docker container that the documentation is built in. So where SunPy by default tries to write its config file isn't writable by the user that the documentation is being built as, which means that you get a SunPy config error because it can't write the config file. So this just sets the environment variable so that SunPy picks up a writable directory as the directory where it should put its config file. But of course, this patch was already done. This is just changing the directories because I was trying to build Alex's magnetic field extrapolation package on read the docs, and because SunPy is hard coded to use the SunPy clone directory, which didn't exist inside the Docker image when you're not building SunPy, it means that you can't build any documentation that relies on SunPy on read the docs. So this just takes it back to the root writable directory. Basically, it was a mistake last time.
How did it work before?
Good question. I think it was when they changed their back-end infrastructure to Docker, it broke. But I fixed it a long time ago, just the fix was too specific.
Okay. Ooh, time zones and strings.
What? What?
1344.
$13.44. How did you get onto 1344?
I was just scrolling down. We don't have to review it now. I just am excited about this.
That's for date time.
It's like the equivalent of units for time is to having the goddamn time zone associated with the time.
Oh, yay, this is just making pastime even more fucking complicated than it is already. Pastime has got to die.
Well, it should just default to UTC.
Times, well, we know times. The fact that pastime is on the kill list is known, I suppose. Is someone waiting for the entire scientific Python stack to build to test by pull request? Because if it is, so if someone is, we're going to be here forever.
Wait, which one? 1552?
Yeah, 1551.
Oh, I thought we were gonna wait.
I thought someone started testing it, but it's just silent for ages. And is that because someone's building all of NumPy, SciPy, and Matplotlib before they say it works? Because if you've got that far, it already works.
Well, I'm not doing it right now.
Anyway, what was your WCS issues?
Okay. Are we ready?
I'm always ready for WCS. Always.
Okay, this has to do with this issue I put up about adding a shift. This is issue 1537. So I started working on that, and then I sort of got into a whole can of worms. But okay, the first issue is the following. We want the first question for you guys is how we want to handle this. So as you may have seen, my issue that I emailed to the list earlier on.
Oh right, yeah. That was interesting.
Yeah, I didn't. It was kind of silly of me, but okay.
So the purpose of, just to quickly clarify on that one, I can't be bothered to email you back with this, but the purpose of properties is to mimic the behavior of attributes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah.
they're just.
Yeah. Yeah. So okay. So what I want to do is add a shift variable, right? That people can change, so that you can shift your essentially in the background you're shifting around the reference pixel, right? So you can move the map around however you want. And the reference, that shift would be 0 by default when you create the map, and then you can change it to whatever you want. Okay, so the first problem is shift should likely be, it needs to be a property, so you need to be able to inspect it, and you want to be able to change it. So I thought at first, well, we just created a property and create a setter. But the problem is that we currently hold things in the background as pairs, as pair object.
Yeah.
And so to be able to look at the shift, it needs to return a pair. So you can shift. You can see the shift as .x and .y. But we don't. Pair is not user facing really. We don't want to ask people to create pairs. So the shift getter and the shift setter need to be different.
That's fine.
Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so the shift, what would be better is that with the shift setter is a function to which you provide an x and a y.
No, well, yeah, we do that in other places in map, but that's horrible.
Yeah.
I still don't like the fact that we have various map methods that take x and y as separate arguments. I'd much rather just be providing, like, tuples or quantities of tuples. Tuples of quantities.
So you don't like the name tuples at all?
No, the name tuples is good for the way that we're representing the data internally, as you say. It's just, as user input, it's better to take in, if for an XY position, I would have said the best way to do it would be to take in a length 2 quantity array, or something that is broadcastable to a length 2 quantity array.
Right, but then you have to, the user needs to understand what do we expect first, X or Y, which means there's now an issue of documentation on our part. And how does the setter documentation actually appear anywhere?
I think the documentation for the attribute is defined in the getter, so you define both the getter and the setter documentation in the getter, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, Albert's agreeing with me in the chat.
By shaking his head. Okay, well, that's fine.
The other
So
option is, well, yeah, no, I think that's probably I think that's the only logical way of doing it.
there's a tuple. So it's a tuple, but then we return. So it's weird because
It's AstroPy quantity as an input.
Right. So an AstroPy quantity to tuple, but then we return when you ask for it. It's now a pair.
But you could make it so that it could also take a pair. So if someone gets it, modifies it, and passes it back in, that still works.
Except you can't modify the pair.
You can't modify the pair. No. You obviously you cannot modify the pair.
Yeah.
But
So
it might be a good idea to still be able to take in the pair, because we might.
Maybe you have a pair from someone else or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but it is weird, right? So now we have a setter and getter, which expect one thing and return a different thing.
But that is I agree, it's slightly weird, but that is kind of the point of setters and getters, in that it allows you to do funky things with attributes like that. Whereas if we weren't playing around with the input and output like that, we could just have an attribute on the top.
Yeah.
a standard attribute.
Okay. Okay. So that's. I mean, I am a little uncomfortable with that, but that's fine. I can implement that way. My next question is, where? So, okay. So I have a shift, and I need to apply it to when you plot or do anything. I need to apply it. So what I currently do, the easiest thing to do is I go in and I change the reference coordinate. So reference coordinate is another getter, and it goes out and it gets crval1 and crval2 and returns them. So currently I just add the shift to those values. And that propagates everywhere else because the WCS object that we uses that value. The weird thing now is that if somebody looks and checks what crval1 is and then compares it to reference pixel, they may not be the same if the shift is non-zero.
I agree, but that is a good thing.
In some sense, but now we've broken this translation. What we kind of, it seems to me, is like we provide this translation layer, right? Reference pixel and reference coordinate and scale. These things are basically just reading in from the dictionary and providing it out to the user. It's like a shortcut. But now we've broken it in this one place, which is the reference coordinate.
We've also kind of broken it in rotation already because the rotation properties don't return necessarily what's in the header. Because unless it's stored in the header as a PCIJ matrix, it returns something different.
Ah, okay.
So it's not the first time we've done that.
Okay.
But that is also kind of the point of the metadata handling in map. In the way that it's currently written, is that it's supposed to return the right thing rather than just the thing.
Right.
Because that's the whole point of standardizing it over all the instruments, right?
Right. Well, so then the other thing I noticed, and this now I'm kind of coming out of this particular discussion and broadening it a bit, but it does seem that we are currently doing a number of very strange things when WCS is involved. So.
Well, it's because WCS is very strange, but yeah, go on.
Well, the strangest thing that we do, which has nothing to do with the strangeness of WCS, is that the WCS object is created every time you ask for it, which...
Yes, that's deliberate.
Yes, that's a deliberate, and it's a little bit hackish, but I understand why it's being done that way, because we consider the library, the object, the dictionary header to be kind of our default, and so you don't want to break, the translation between the two. That's fine. But I also found a number of other places where we use the WCS object to calculate derived quantities, but in other places we do them by hand. So like data to pixel and pixel to data, we use WCS, but then get center, we don't use WCS or get
I still maintain what the hell is get center.
It's the center of the map.
No, it doesn't. Not according to the comments in the WCS library, it doesn't. According to the WCS, the SunPy.wcs function, it returns the offset from the center of the map to the center of the image or something. Or the center of the sun to the center of the image. I don't know, I can't remember.
But it should just be like, take X range and divide by 2. And take Y range and divide by 2. That's the way I see it. I'm pretty sure that's what
Where are we? I need to look at it.
Right. It takes gives you the center world coordinate of your map. So take, X range is the left edge of the map, the right edge of the map, and then divide that by 2, and that's one of the values in center. And currently we do that, both of those things, regardless of whether you agree or don't understand what center is. We do those all by hand, and we do not use the WCS object at all.
I think that's because SunPy WCS can't do the X range, Y range calculation because, for a start, it doesn't know how many pixels there are in the image.
Right, but we do. So we can do it.
We are doing it.
Well, yeah, but we don't.
I don't understand. What do you mean? The AstroPy WCS object can't do that calculation, so we do it by hand.
Right. No. We're not using the WCS pixel to world coordinate transformations at all.
But you don't need to use the pixel to world transformations for X range.
But we should. To be consistent, we should be using...
Oh, you mean you want to use pixel to world to get the 0th pixel and then the far right pixel?
Yes, that's what we should be doing.
Yeah, that makes sense. Fine. Yeah, no, that would be a good way of doing it.
Okay, and then the other thing that's confusing to me also is there's only one place, I guess, that we use our WCS module, which is for WCS.getCenter.
If we can remove that, that is great. Because I'm on the quest to destroy the WCS module. So if we reduce its usage everywhere, then it becomes a lot easier for me to deprecate it and remove it in 0.7 or 0.8 whenever I get around to it.
Well, you can't get rid of everything, right? Can you? Because you still use the transformations, don't you?
Well, no, not when coordinates comes in, because they've moved home.
They what? Sorry.
The code has been copied and refactored into coordinates. It's not a call to WCS.
Oh, I see. Okay, fine. Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. So
could getCenter be done? What? I mean, as I say, I don't really understand what getCenter is doing. But if it can be done using calls to AstroPy WCS, then so much the better.
Yes, I think it can. It should be.
Don't you need two of them? You're given two different definitions for what getCenter is: the center of the sun and the center of the image.
No, it should be the center of the image in coordinate in world coordinates. The sun thing was something that Stuart mentioned.
Yeah.
Which I don't think is correct.
Oh, I suppose that does make sense when you explain it like that. The offset between the center of the sun and the center of the map is the center of the image in... No, it's the other way around. Center of the image in WCS in world coordinates is the offset between the image and the sun, not the sun and the image.
All right. Well, anyway.
Coordinates make my brain hurt. Physically make me ache.
Okay, well...
So the WCS, the change to AstroPy WCS, the primary reason that I did that and made sure I got it in for 0.6 was because our WCS calculations didn't support rotation. In fact, it's probable that X range and Y range don't.
Yeah, they don't call it right now.
What does WCS getCenter do? You worried me now. I think I've missed something.
It looks like it only gets used for, I mean, the data to pixel stuff. That's the only place I could find it. And pixel to data. So I basically wanted to say that right now WCS is like partly implemented. It's sort of like units. Well, the other thing also I wanted to ask you is why doesn't WCS return unit full quantities?
Yeah.
Is that being fixed?
That's an AstroPy thing. Well, the plan for AstroPy is to get rid of, well, not get rid of, but replace the AstroPy WCS stuff with generalized WCS, right? So I don't think they're plowing a lot of effort into in-place upgrades for the current WCS implementation.
I see. So is the API going to change? Because I have to say the API for WCS is horrendous.
Yeah, generalized WCS is a completely new package with a completely different API, completely different design philosophy. It's just completely different.
So does that suggest that we should not spend any time fixing our code to use WCS more correctly then? Because
Well,
we're just going to have to change all that and fix
small
it.
things, but it depends what you mean, I guess.
We're going to go over to generalized WCS as well. So
Well, that's the plan, but I don't know if that's not going to happen for a while.
like how long of a while?
Well,
Years?
generalized WCS isn't going to be in AstroPy till at least 1.2, which is not the next release, the one after, and that's if they make that. And then we've got to do all of the cube implementation and transformation work required to do it. So yeah, years, at least one.
Okay. Okay. Well, it's frustrating that it doesn't return units, but
I mean, so the pixel to data methods do though, because I wrap them.
yeah, right. So we would have to wrap things. That's fine. Yeah. So what I was saying is, right now, implementation of WCS is kind of not quite there. I would say it's not very well.
What's missing?
Well, this issue of get center, X range center.
Yeah, that should be changed. Because actually, I think that's probably wrong. To the point where that probably classifies as a 0.6 bug, because I think get center is actually incorrect if the map's not rotated. Is rotated.
Yeah, it probably is. Yeah.
So we should probably fix that for the bug fix release as well.
Yeah.
Issue time.
Yeah, and it's also kind of weird that. Well, this is not a fix. This is not an issue. This is kind of by design, but we need to fix the fact that we kind of depend on the header fits header so much.
Yeah, I mean, yes. That is, again, kind of the point of generalized WCS, is because AstroPy WCS and the WCS lib C library that it wraps have been specifically coded for fits WCS.
Yeah.
Whereas generalized WCS has been explicitly coded for not fits WCS, because fits WCS was not up to the job that they wanted to do for James Webb Space, which is why they've created a whole new file format and WCS implementation.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Huh. That's a big job. And it's not clear that the community will...
So they are still going to be... So the point of the asdiff file format and generalized WCS is that allows them to store the complete pipeline. I don't know. It allows them, I don't know too much about it, but it allows them to do the transformations and store the metadata they need to store to be able to. I think it's to do like the full calibration pipeline on the data. So if you've got one of those asdiff files, you can run it through generalized WCS and go from like uncalibrated to calibrated, or maybe it's only part of that transformation. But anyway, so they're still going to be putting out fits files, but if you want like the full data with the full transformation, then you're going to have to get it in asdiff, because fits literally cannot store the information required.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so that's what I want to discuss.
I agree, and WCS and the coordinate stuff, which is all kind of bundled together at the moment, is obviously been at the top of my hit list for a while, because that's the kind of stuff I've been working on. So I do agree there is some major issues there, and the job is far from done.
Yeah.
Of course, supporting generalized WCS properly is the answer to all our cube woes.
Sure.
And support for ground-based data.
Is that so does that include like a spectral?
Generalized WCS includes spectral support. Yeah.
Okay. So that would be for.
And so does AstroPy WCS to a point.
So that would be very useful for all the spectrometers we have at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
in fact, I think, well, David and I tested some of ICE pipeline stuff using generalized WCS at NAM. I mean, we didn't get very far. Did you end up using it in the end, David? Is he still in?
No.
But you did use AstroPy models for that wavelength shift.
For the fittings, yeah, we use the models, but for the old transformation, no, because Mateo had already like big portion of that done, and
yeah, sure. But I mean, but if you've got
time restriction more than using it.
I was just wondering, yeah, so the way generalized WCS works is each of the coordinate transforms is represented as a set of AstroPy models. And then they're called, and then you can compose them into a pipeline and run the data through the whole pipeline of models. So a lot of the development of AstroPy modeling has been done by the people at Space Telescope because they knew generalized WCS was coming.
That's cool. I like their idea for models. Models
is just amazing. It is so powerful. Now they've got composite model fitting as well. That's the big thing that came out in 1.0 that turned it from awesome, like quite nice, to absolutely awesome. Because you can, like, say you wanted to do a multiple Gaussian fit, you create 4 instances of Gaussian and then add them together and then fit it. It's very nice.
Well, so I'll PR. I may PR some fixes, including the shift thing. I've gotten the shift thing working.
If you could PR a fix to X range, Y range, and center, that would be good. For 0.6, I mean separately.
Okay. Okay, I could
look at it.
Could probably get to it.
I mean, X range and Y range should be simple enough. I can do that if you want.
Yeah, I'll do it. I want to learn. To be honest, I hate delving into the WCS object. I hate it so much. The documentation sucks. It's confusing as hell. But I really want to learn a little bit more how to use it. So I'll do it right now. I'll sign up for it. And it's weird that the WCS object has itself a WCS object. Why would you do that?
I agree. Yes, it is not particular. The API isn't fantastic, but it is quite fast and it does do the transformations properly. While not perfect, it's a much better step than what we had in 0.5.
Sure, yeah.
And it is the best thing that's available at the moment. So.
Yep, I agree. I agree to all those things. Arg. This is kind of a board issue. So never mind. I won't bring it up. Okay. Anything else? I have 30 minutes to eat lunch. So
no, I think that's mostly. I fixed that typo, Albert. I think that's mostly everything on 0.61. I do want to say that we should try and get the uni-down branch merged into master as soon as we can, because 0.7 requires that to be working and also Lightcode to be rebuilt on top of it. And there's no point in starting the work on Lightcode until uni-down is in master. So.
Well, who's working on it right now?
So the first thing that needs to be done is the summer project code needs to be merged in.
Right.
Which is 1476. And David is the one was mentoring that. So he's probably in the best state to tell us what that's like. Nudge, nudge.
I haven't been able to review it since Anki did last changes last week. So as soon as I get a bit of time, I will look at it.
We'll kick the Sphinx build. There is, yeah, so I'll restart the Sphinx build on his last thing now, because that won't have the thingy bug anymore. There is one bug in Unidown which is on my shoulders that I know I need to get around to fixing. Which is in JSOC, because I broke all the things. But apart from that, I think it's mostly functionally complete. So I think it's a case if we need to go over and look over it and well, review it and fill holes, basically. It's going to take some effort from some people to get it going, but it does need to be got in as quickly as we can. Well, there is an open to-do list. There we go. There's not a huge amount that needs to be done according to the open to-do list on.
Well, so
issue
David,
1300.
David, how do you? I mean, do you see things moving along on this, or where do things stand on your end?
Sorry, what do you mean?
I mean, so do you need help on this, or are you just gonna?
Oh no! I don't need help. I just need a bit of time. You mean from the summer student project?
Yeah, for getting this done.
Yeah, no, I just need to check the last things that he changed, and probably will be fine.
Okay.
And then, so once that's merged in, so currently the summer student's pull request is to the Unidown branch, which adds a load of extra sources and stuff to Lightcurve in Unidown. And then it is a case of merging Unified Downloader in. So where have we go? So Unidown doesn't currently break any existing API, I don't think. I mean, it changes some stuff, but I think all of the current Lightcurve code and Lightcurve code and VSO code and everything is still there. So it copies some stuff, replicates some functionality. According to my to-do list on issue 1300, there is currently the API documentation needs doing. Verify the Unidown sources are up to date with Lightcurve sources. Test ability to download different levels of Lara and Eve data, and testing to make sure it plays nice with Eve, where the client's config. So we could merge Unidown into master in a kind of unfinished state, in that it will need extra test coverage. There are still a few little outstanding bugs, but we should get it into master as soon as we can so that it's kept up to date and everything as soon as it is working.
So that's David's job to get it working.
Well, no. So David is looking after the pull request for the summer of code student, but then there is the main uni-down branch, which isn't like resting on David, not resting on anyone.
Right. Okay. So, but first we have to wait for David to get the first thing.
Well, yes and no. There is still stuff that can be done on Unified Downloader without that being merged in.
Okay. Well, I recommend we talk about this next meeting and kind of figure out how we're going to move forward.
Yeah. Well, I was just saying if anyone wants to do anything, issue 1300 is a good place to start. If you find yourself with a bored 5 minutes.
Right. 5 minutes.
Well, in 5 minutes, you could do one of the checkboxes, which is here. You verify the ability to download different levels of Lara and Eve data. That's just a case of running like 4 queries through the pipeline. Or it might take more than 5 minutes if you've got to clone the branch and read the documentation to remember how it works, but it's not a big job.
Where is issue 1300? I don't see it.
It's milestone 0.7. It's pull request 1300.
Oh, pull request. Oh. Yeah. My God. Okay.
But as I say, we should get if we're going to get 0.7 out in a sensible amount of time, this has to be merged into master soon.
Yeah.
Because obviously there's a lot more work than he's doing on top of it. And that work can progress easier and in parallel as soon as this is in master, rather than constantly waiting for stuff to be put on top of this.
Yep. Agreed.
And to some extent, the same goes for coordinates. We should get the coordinates PR merged in as well. For the same kind of reasons.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. Let's everybody have a look, and then we can talk about it next week.
Cool. Well, nice chatting to you.
Okay.
Speak to you later.
Yeah. Talk to you guys later.